Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Media Pulse, where we help you make sense of Thai politics.
As we have been saying, Thai politics is never dull.
It's never dull, it's full of drama. Last week we've got more drama.
That's right.
Yeah, and the drama in question is about the amendment of a constitution, an article in the constitution.
And I'm sure that the aftermath of the drama will continue to dominate the media for some time to come. Because at the center of this drama was an attempt by Thepchai party, the core party in the coalition government, to try to amend a particular article in the constitution that deals with the issues of ethics and integrity.
Which should be a good thing, because this is actually the first time in Thai politics that they are talking about ethics and integrity for politicians.
Sarcastically speaking, we should treat this as good news, because for the first time they are seriously talking about ethics and integrity, right? But not in the way that many people expected them to.
So yes, instead of talking about how rules and regulations about ethics and integrity should be strengthened, they kind of want to scrap it all together.
Yeah. The basic idea is to do away with the article. But of course, they're not saying this outright in this way, because that would make them look very bad.
Yes, yes.
So all they're saying is that we need to review the definition of the terms integrity and ethics, so that it will not, in their words, will not be weaponized against politicians and bring about political uncertainties.
And the article in question is Article 160. Just to recap, it says that cabinet members must demonstrate evident integrity and have a history free from serious breaches of professional ethics.
And for a while, it appeared that two major parties in the coalition government, Thepchai and Thai, had a common stand in trying to have the article amended. And their argument is that the definition of the terms ethics and integrity is too broad and is open to arbitrary interpretation. And they pointed to the case of former Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin, who was ousted by the Constitutional Court on the grounds that he lacked integrity and ethics for appointing a person with a conviction record as a cabinet member. So their argument goes this way, that if even a Prime Minister, in this case Kun Sethar, is not safe from being accused of lacking ethics and integrity, what is the guarantee that other politicians or political office holders will be safeguarded against this kind of interpretation of these two terms?
So their argument is that they don't want it to be weaponized as a political tool. But the move was seen by critics as benefiting only politicians, and it didn't go down well with the general population at all.
Because with the country facing economic difficulties and large parts of the country still being ravaged by severe flooding, the question is, why now? Why make amending a constitution your priority when there are other more urgent business that need to be taken care of?
But there's a plot twist to it, actually. And the word of the week, I think, for this drama is backtracking.
That's right. Backtracking, I think this has become the watchwords in the Thai media. Klap lam.
Lam,
Right,
yeah.
klap lam. Of course, it means backtracking. This came as a big twist, because out of the blue, the Thai party, which was initially seen as being supportive of amending the constitution, suddenly decided to reverse course. Overnight, the party said, we are no longer supporting this move. And its leader, Kun Thepchai Vilagun, insisted that there are other priorities that need immediate attention from the government, and amending the constitution is not one of them.
So it caught even Thepchai and Prime Minister Paetongtarn by surprise, because in the press conference, Prime Minister was asked on the spot about the sudden change of mind by the Thai party at the press briefing, with Kun Anutin actually is present in that press briefing as well. And obviously, looks like the Prime Minister is a bit irritated. And she also told reporters about the questions. So she basically said, don't ask such divisive questions.
And she was certainly caught off guard, and with Kun Anutin standing by her side. I mean, the two of them were quite stunned by the question because they didn't obviously didn't know how to answer the question. So Kun Paetongtarn, as you just mentioned, ended up by saying that don't ask divisive questions like this.
But it's kind of weird. It's just like you have two friends walking together, and all of a sudden, one friend that was walking next to you just turned back 180 degrees and
That's right.
left.
Right. No, the last minute change of mind by Phumchai Thai Party definitely caught Kun Paetongtarn and Pheu Thai Party off guard. Because remember, last week we talked about how Kun Anutin insisted that this article needed to be amended, and his party, Phumchai Thai, was fully supportive of such a move. But a week later, he said, "Okay, no, we don't want to have anything to do with it."
He changes his mind very abruptly.
And what he said subsequently was also equally interesting. He said, before he said that the article was a source of political uncertainties, but last week he said that if you are in politics, you must be ready to be scrutinized, and that if you are not sure your hands are clean, don't enter politics. So in a way, he was sort of offering his personal support to this kind of rules and regulations on the issue of ethics and integrity. So if you don't call this a grablam or backtracking, what would you call it?
Is he hinting at anyone with that?
No,
phrase?
it wasn't quite clear to whom his message was meant, right? But political commentators believe that it was his way of responding to and what is seen as an attack by Pheu Thai Party, because Kun Phumtham Thepchai, one of the key figures of Pheu Thai Party, in an interview, he said that the idea of amending the article did not originate with Pheu Thai Party. It was the idea of a major party in the coalition government. He didn't mention names, but it was easy, I mean, to see it as his reference to Phumchai Thai Party. So this is another small episode reflecting the deep rivalry between these two major parties.
That's why the term hot potato, because this is the headline from Matishon I took. So Anutin denies backtracking and emphasized that he is not the leader of the big political party in question after Pheu Thai avoids hot potato.
Okay, for political convenience, Phumchai Thai and Pheu Thai Party are working hands in hand as coalition partners. But deep down inside, they know they see each other as rival. And they certainly will see each other as competitor in the next elections. So that's why everything they are doing now is an indication of how good their relationship is and will be.
Remember in the first few episodes of Media Pulse, we talked about Kun Anutin and his party, that he didn't need to rush because he's got all the votes. But then, you know, he may be harboring some
That's right, because
tensions.
At one point he was even seen as a potential candidate as Prime Minister after Kun Setha was ousted. Remember that?
Yeah.
All right.
Nobody wants to be number 2, right? So back to the issue of constitutional amendment. There's a common agreement among most political parties now, both the government and the opposition. But there seems to be just only one party now who is for amending the constitution.
That's right. But I think the general agreement among them at this moment is that amending the constitution should be done through a comprehensive rewriting of the charter, rather than cherry picking individual articles like Phumchai Thai or Pheu Thai Party tried to do earlier. Right.
Yeah, and this constitution is seen as a legacy of the military coup in 2014 as well. So yeah, there we go. So far we have 20 constitutions.
Yeah. But Thailand has a rather unenviable record as far as the issue of constitutions is concerned. We have had altogether as many as 20 constitutions since the revolution that ended the system of absolute monarchy in 1932. And with what they're seeing going on right now, it's very likely that we'll soon be on course to having the 21st constitution.
So that's the record. I'm not sure if that's the record we should be aiming for, but there we have it. And also we have another record to tell you about this one. This one is about General Prawit. So we're continuing the discussion about General Prawit. Last week, remember, we talked about, before we go into that, he's the former military strongman and now a leader of Palang Pracharat Party. Now, last week, we talked about his sound clip, allegedly sounded like General Prawit in a questionable conversation.
Yeah.
That is still to be resolved. But this week, General Prawit showed up to a parliamentary meeting and it made headlines.
Okay. It's quite funny because showing up for House meetings is a primary obligation of MPs,
thing.
right?
Yes.
It's your job. You're paid to do it.
Exactly.
But for General Prawit, it's a phenomenon. That the fact that he did show up for a meeting this week.
Well, he missed so many meetings before, that's why. To the degree that this could be described as a serial absentee or a truant, students who don't show up to class. And this has opened up an opportunity for an opponent, the former spokesperson of the Thepchai party, Kun Phampong Noktarit. He's pushing for an investigation. And if you look at this headline from manager.com, it's quite funny. So he says he in this headline is actually, he's referring to General Prawit. And he said he behaved like a hawk, swooping down to sign his name and flew away. Plus, he had someone scan his ID for him. Ooh. And he came with a lot of evidence. And he's got the stats. So this is probably the first time someone compiled stats for an MP's attendance. So on record, General Prawit missed 84 meetings out of 95. So he attended 11.
What a record.
It works out to roughly about 88%. I mean, imagine if you were a student. You wouldn't pass the subject.
But the Prawit's argument is that he did submit leave request before he stayed away from any of the House meeting.
Right.
So meaning that he believes that he did not do anything wrong. But even with that excuse, I mean, Kun Phampong from Thepchai still insists that what Kun Prawit did is certainly need to be investigated.
Yeah, he did a lot of homework actually, because he didn't just come with the stats. He came with evidence.
That's right.
So in one of those meetings that General Prawit missed, he said General Prawit was receiving well wishes for his birthday. That's one example. Another one was that he was watching a volleyball match.
No, Kun Prawit is concurrently chairman of the National Olympics Committee of Thailand. So this could be a good excuse for him that I need to stay home to watch volleyball matches instead of attending House meetings.
And remember the headline last week, he visited the flooded area in Nong Khai. He was supposed to be in a parliamentary meeting that day as well, but he went to Nong Khai.
That's right.
So, yeah.
No, but General Prawit himself has not really addressed the issue directly. But a few weeks ago, when he was confronted by reporters, asking him about why he was absent so often from the House meeting, you know what his answer was? He said, whether or not I attend House meetings is none of your business. What have I done wrong?
Okay. So the question is whether or not the former military strongman has broken any rules for frequently missing the meetings.
No, the Secretary General of the House of Representatives, Kun Apat Sukhanan, thinks he has the answer. He told reporters that an initial inquiry confirmed that General Prawit did submit leave requests each time he was absent from House meetings.
Right.
And he explained that House regulations permit an MP to be absent from no more than 1/4 of meetings during each House session, as long as they submit leave requests in advance.
So he's got all the documents.
Yeah.
But 88% is not. It's more than. It's still more than 1/4.
All right. This episode will certainly continue to make headlines, and we'll come back with any progress if we have any.
Oh, sure,
Next week.
sure. We do have some stories about the Prime Minister herself as well. So the baht is stronger this week. In fact, is the strongest in 30 months. So the baht is roughly about 32 to $1 now. And by definition, if you study economics, stronger currency, if you're holding a US dollar, you would need more US dollar to buy Thai baht. And that excuse me, that would make Thai goods more expensive for US dollar holders. And by the law of supply and demand, when something's more expensive, then there'll be less demand for it. But our Prime Minister seems to have a different set of assumptions.
What did she say?
Well, in a press briefing, she was asked about the Thai baht, and then she says, the baht that is strong is good for exporters. I mean, ouch. Because
That certainly raised a lot of eyebrows.
I mean, she's got all the
And she wasn't aware of what she was talking about until after she went back into her office and might have consulted or might have been sort of advised by her people around her.
That was a retake, right?
And then she rushed back to the podium a few hours later to talk to reporters on this same issue. What did she say in the second press briefing?
She said she was asked too many questions by reporters, so she was confused. We have that headline as well that we just saw. It talks about this issue, and the headline says, the headline is from Thai Post, it says, strong baht is good for exports. If her economics teacher hears this, he or she might be shocked, almost faint. Wow. But that's not the end. Like I said, there was a retake, and then she said she was confused. And the reporters asked her about the Constitution amendment that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And she was not taking it very well. Yeah, and then she says, I would like to ask you, meaning reporters, not to ask divisive questions.
No, but she mustn't forget that journalists assigned to cover the government beat are among the most experienced and adept at handling political figures, cabinet members, and prime ministers. And they can be very brutal when it comes to asking questions. And she should know that when her father, Kun Thaksin Shinawatra, was prime minister, he also faced questions that often got on his nerves.
Yeah.
And the journalists knew Thaksin could be easily provoked, and they knew which buttons to push. And Thaksin aides back then found a way to handle difficult situations facing the prime minister by assigning certain journalists who had a friendly rapport with the prime minister to change the subject and redirect the conversation when things got tough. And as you all know, that when Kun Thaksin was in power, he never hesitated to use his political power and business clout to influence the media.
But, remember General Prawit Chan-o-cha, when he was in office, he was also mocked by journalists for his temper.
Even during that time, journalists at the government house never shied away from asking questions that often got under his skin too.
Yeah.
And often provoking unsavory headline-making responses from him. And there was one time when he was so angered by a reporter's question that he responded by saying that he will execute reporters who did not report the truth. And this remark made headlines in foreign media worldwide. And back then, a lot of media people tried to ask for my reaction on this comment. Right? And my answer was that his bark is worse than his bite.
Oh, okay.
So he was safe. He may be very angry with you when facing a question that he didn't like. But if you translate this in Thai, it would be very rude.
I know. But it does illustrate the point. I do get it. However, there is good news for the government and the Thai people as well this week. It's about the cash handouts, the 10,000 baht handout. Okay. It's not much in US dollars actually, so it works out to about $300 US dollars. But that's something that the government has been trying to push forward for so many months, more than a year now.
It's a flagship program of this current government.
And the Prime Minister actually said that when this rolls out, it will create an economic whirlwind. But then, you know, the first day was 25th. It was the 25th this week. The money came out, but things didn't go as planned because some people were spending it on repaying debts.
Right,
instead
because
of
we
spending
know
on goods
we
and
know
services.
that Thailand has problem with household debts. So it would not be a surprise if the first thing that the people who receive these handouts do is to use the money to pay the debts instead of spending the money to stimulate the economy as the government wants.
And yeah, a lot of economists were expecting this, and that could create a bigger problem because once they repay the debt, they have the credit to go and borrow again.
Okay.
So that might be a problem.
I think because the question is why the money, which is not much, 10,000 baht for many people, but for small people, people who have debts, people who still have living from hand to mouth, this 10,000 baht is very significant
A
amount
lot
of
for
money.
them. There's actually one person
Yeah, but
that our reporter.
reaction from this lady certainly tells a lot of stories.
ตื่นเต้นไม่เคยมีเงินหมื่นไม่เคยมีเงินพัน
ใจเย็นๆใจเย็นๆครับใจเย็นๆป้าใจเย็นๆป้าใจเย็นๆแป๊บนึงป้าใจเย็นๆเด้อ
ป้าเราไปถึงร้องไห้ป้า
แล้วครับ
เอาช่วยดูหน่อย
นี่ค่ะ
โต
2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10ดีใจมากเลยค่ะไม่เคยถึงเงินพันมานานแล้ว
เงินหมื่นก็ดี
โอ้ยเงินหมื่นมานานแล้วค่ะขอบคุณรัฐบาล
So definitely good news for the people.
All right. Okay.
And we're expecting more news from the Prime Minister.
That's right. We end this week's program with a free promo for this event. You know that both before and after taking office, Kun Paetongtarn, the Prime Minister, has been consistently ridiculed by her critics for what they see as a lack of understanding and depth on important issues. And a series of gaps and blunders she has made certainly do not help, right? But now it looks like she is going to prove her critics wrong. And she intends to do it in a very big way. So early next month, she will take to the stage to talk on the topic ASEAN Economic Outlook 2025. And according to a promo piece of the event organizer, Prime Minister Paetongtarn will unveil her vision on how to bring the Thai economy to the forefront of ASEAN.
Yeah, and it's called the Rise of ASEAN, a renewing opportunity.
Okay. And this is supposed to be Paetongtarn's first public appearance after assuming office to talk about her ideas and vision in the regional context. And equally important, this upcoming event is seen as a sequence to a similar forum last month where her father, Thaksin Shinawatra, offered her his vision for Thailand's future. And again, it will be organized by the same media group that hosted Thaksin's forum,
Oh, I see.
the Nation group. Yeah.
So this is episode 2 of the Vision Unveil.
Yeah, it can, certainly her critics will see things in that context.
We'll be watching. We'll definitely be watching and tell you more about it once it happens, so early next month. Anyway, I guess that's it for this episode.
Okay. So thank you for watching. See you next week.
Bye.